I have to know. What's your prediction for the Lions?
Again, they were on a roll at the end of the season. I mean, that last game when we beat Green Bay, that was very exciting. Didn't mean anything really because we didn't make it into the playoffs. However, it was a huge boost. So hopefully we can just continue on from there and get into the playoffs.
Oh, I love that enthusiasm. That can be a dangerous thing when it comes to the Lions.
I know.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Walter Hooper of WA Hooper Marketing, and this is another episode of Marketing Minds Meet. We are here at the Knot co-working space in Grosse Pointe Park, Michigan, right off of Mack Avenue in Nottingham. This is where you can go to if you're an entrepreneur or if you're just tired of working from home and you want a place that is actually conducive for lots more productivity in your workday. This is the place to be. But today, on this episode of Marketing Minds Meet, we are connecting with a fellow member of a small business organization that started here in Grosse Pointe. And we connected with this person actually through the Grosse Pointe Chamber of Commerce at one of the events. And so now they're here. They own a candle making business, and they're rooted here in GP, in the bubble, yes. I am here today with none other than Janet Abdenour Dabney. Janet, how are you today?
I am fine, thanks, Walter. How are you?
I'm good. How was your weekend?
It was good. Lots of stuff done outside and dancing between raindrops, but yeah, it was a good weekend.
Okay.
How about you?
All right. Yeah, it was good. What did I do this weekend? I think hung out with a friend of mine. And I think I just mostly relaxed. I kind of the last week, especially with it being July 4th of July week, kind of was kind of a weird week, wasn't it? Kind of like it was like the work week was really short, and then it was like, oh, it's Friday again, cool.
Exactly. What day is today?
Yeah, exactly. So why don't you go ahead and tell everyone what about Jamcat and your journey and what inspired you to do this.
I'd be happy to. So Jamcat Candles was born out of my desire to have a creative endeavor. By trade, I'm a registered nurse. I worked on a pediatric floor for several years. So I started out at Children's Hospital of Michigan, then worked at St. John Hospital in Detroit on their pediatric floor. Loved it, but felt I wanted to move on and do something different. Went back to school, got my MBA, and wanted to steer into the business arena. So I landed with one of the largest medical device companies in the country called Medtronic, and I was a medical device sales rep for quite some time. With that job, it's stressful, as really any job that I've had has been stressful, but chasing a number, always being on point, always reaching goals became my life. And driving into Ohio every day, because that's where my territory was, got old at a certain time. So I realized I met the goals I wanted to meet with that job, with that career, and decided to move on to something different after I got married. So during the planning of the wedding, I realized how fun that was, being creative and planning. And so once I got married, I decided to move on into making candles. So I came up with Jamcat Candles. And Jamcat is just a conglomeration of my names, Janet, Mary, Catherine. So that's how I came up with Jamcat. So I decided to make candles to, again, fulfill that intrinsic desire that I've always had to help people, make them smile, make them happy, and that's now in the world of soy candles.
Okay, so I was just going to ask you what type of candle. Is it soy? Is it, what kind of blend is it? So tell me, what was it about soy that made you want to choose that as opposed to something like beeswax or any of the other cuts?
In doing research, which I did a lot of research before I even started this endeavor, I realized that the thought out there is that soy is a little more environmentally friendly. And speaking with people, they preferred soy over the typical paraffin wax or soy blends or paraffin blends or a proprietary blend that you don't even know what's in that candle. So that's when I thought I would steer towards soy. And I use fragrance oils that don't have any phthalates. So again, as clean as possible, that I could create a nice environmentally friendly candle. And then my fragrance oils that I use also have essential oils in them. So again, trying to blend the best of all worlds into a candle that people then can enjoy.
Right, especially right now with what's going on to our neighbors just north of us, where
Yes.
we have all this air pollution, something would having a candle of yours in someone's house, having it being lit, and having the fragrances go out, does that help with any sort of breathing issues? Does it help alleviate, maybe help you breathe in a little bit more cleaner air, so to speak? Are there any health benefits to that as well, or?
Well, I can't make any health claims. However, I do know, especially speaking to people who have burned candles for years, the soy candle tends to have less soot. It cleans cooler and cleans or burns longer. So that's where the folks who have their preference, they steer towards soy because they do feel like they're having a better environment. Their home is a little more clean as compared to other candles that might produce more soot.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. Yeah, because especially like I said, with what's going on right now, I feel like people are really trying to be more cautious of the air that they're breathing in. I'm sure you probably even noticed, with this holiday season or this 4th of July, there wasn't a lot of people out. I at least where I was at, and it was astonishing. And I was with a friend of mine. I said, "Well, it's probably because, just this the way that this air has just been. People are probably just wanting to be more cautious, and so to have a product such as yours can maybe, like I say, can help." Them with some of those issues that they might have, or help even just make them feel a little bit better, so they're not always having to go outside and breathe in this wonderful air quality.
Well, if you're stuck inside, you might as well light a candle. So a lot of people we're kind of stuck inside, so you might as well enjoy a fragrant candle while you're at home. And candles provide so many different opportunities for people, whether it's to celebrate something, to just be in a tranquil environment, to smell a certain fragrance that brings back a memory. So that's one of the other things I like to provide for folks also, just an avenue for some peace, some solace, and some celebration.
Excellent. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
So this is Marketing Minds Meet, and so we do like to go into the topic of digital marketing in particular. So you had mentioned just before we got on here that you're really, really looking at your Instagram account as kind of your go-to. Have you always had that as your main platform, or did you use Facebook prior and then it just wasn't really for you? Or so I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, what platforms have you seen for you professionally that have been the most lucrative and have had the biggest turnover for you client-wise, and people buying your candles and your products, and which have been also the least successful? And especially now with this wonderful new app that just dropped called Threads, which has grown exponentially in these last few days. Where do you see your biggest successes in the social media realm? Where do you see your biggest, not failures, but kind of, okay, well, this didn't work? And then where do you see the potential to move forward in the future with various clientele, including the millennials and the Gen Zers, where now you're looking at two demographics that think and purchase and shop very differently?
Well, I do lean into Instagram, and I became more of an Instagram user when COVID hit, because prior to COVID, I was at events probably every month, and that was my goal, to be at an event every month, because I love talking to customers. I love for them to see my candles, to smell them, to get a sense of how this will enhance their home or their decor, actually. So once COVID hit and all of those events went away, then I thought, okay, I really have to do something. So that's when I started more into Instagram. I did have a Facebook page at one point, but I just prefer to focus a little bit more on one platform, and that was Instagram. I've not gotten into the TikTok world, so I'm not sure if that's something that I will get into, but I know it's out there and I know it's available. And Threads, yeah, that's something totally new, but I do get the feeling with Threads, though, it's more of a conversational, this is me, how are you, nice to meet you kind of thing, as opposed to, this is my candle, this is what it smells like, would you like to buy this? So Threads is a little different. So I'm just now trying to figure that out. But yeah, I think that would be fun to have a presence on Threads as well. So yeah, Instagram is the big one for me.
Yeah, and what's also cool and neat about Threads right now too is that it is part of the Meta family. It's under that Meta umbrella. So already right now you have a platform that's it has a bunch of resources already going for it. You know, where unlike, so it actually there was another app that dropped, I would say probably about a year or so ago. It had the same premise as Threads. It was called Mastodon, and I actually did a Reels on that. It was between that, Be Real, and I can't remember the third one that I was talking about. But Mastodon was one of them. Mastodon had that same kind of premise where it's more of a conversational piece type of thing, but you can also, repost,
right.
Different things on there too. And the biggest thing that it had going for it, I thought, was that it was a much more privatized platform. So you had better privacy settings on there, as opposed, as we know, with what the Meta umbrella has. Well, your privacy is kind of at you don't really have it.
Right.
But in turn, you already have platforms that have been really successful. And I think, to your point as well with Instagram, I'm right there with you when it comes to, having a big presence on there, because especially, as you know, the way that they've set up e-commerce and online shopping for customers is, you maybe don't need a website nowadays. I mean, it would help, but the way that it's set up now, it's become such a great tool for e-commerce platforms, and for even just digital marketing in general. Like, you could have your own Instagram. I know I purchased things on Instagram a couple of times, so I like that mindset. Have you looked into, now we're going to go a little bit more forward here, have you looked into the idea of, now that Apple has announced their augmented reality glasses being released next year, and that's also been a big talk of the town, because everyone was wondering, when is it going to drop? When is this going to drop? Have you looked into having Jamcat candles enter Web 3.0 and the augmented reality and or the virtual reality, where now, let's say you have clients that can buy digital candles that they could have in their own digital real estate settings, and you have a whole new experience that you could provide for those clients.
Walter, that sounds like it's way above my pay grade. If that comes out, I will knock on your door and say, excuse me, can you help me with this? Because I'd have to look into that. I'm really not sure about that one.
Well, and that's the other thing too. It's Web 3.0. It's so well. I mean, and now with the whole AI thing,
right?
The AI has really made a huge rise as well. So I mean, I think these are conversations that everyone in the digital marketing realm, and even just in the digital realm, if they have a tangible product or non-tangible product that they're online, we have to have this conversation. You can't ignore it anymore. It's here. It's just, how are you going to adapt? Because if you don't, you'll be left behind like that.
Yep.
And thanks for playing.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the the situation that I think all small business owners find themselves in. We had to adapt because of COVID. We have to adapt now with new, platforms, what have you, because we need to be seen, especially those of us that don't have a brick and mortar store. How else are we going to raise our hand to say, hello, I'm over here, come visit me? So yeah, anything that can lend support to small business owners or those of us that need to get the word out, I'm all in favor of.
Absolutely. And you mentioned brick and mortar. Is there any goals or aspirations for Jamcat to have a brick and mortar, or do you like being the home-based operation that you currently are?
I think at this point I prefer the home-based operation, and then my goal is wholesale. So if I can find boutiques, stores, shops that would like to carry my candles, that would be great. So the brick and mortar, maybe if I went in with someone else or they had a corner for me, something like that, that might be an opportunity. But to be a full-fledged store owner, no, I'll leave that to some other folks.
Yeah, and that is interesting too. Is I think even to your point of going back to the whole pandemic, I think a lot of people realize that having brick and mortars isn't a necessity really anymore. I mean, look at how many offices have gone completely virtual or have scaled down their in-person workplace culture and having it being a more hybrid structure. So, hey, I can't blame you. So we're gonna go down a path here where I call it the challenge.
Okay.
So the first challenge is tell me something about what you do that you don't like and why.
Oh, that's a good one. I guess I recognize I make candles. I get it. I'm providing a customer with something that could potentially be deemed flammable. I understand that. So it's not, I guess it's something that gives me pause that I am now providing you with something that I'm entrusting you to care for. So there's proper candle care and maintenance, and I want things to be safe. I spent years, months, hours, minutes creating candles that I feel are safe because I tested them all. So providing someone with something that they have to care for, I guess, is always in the back of my mind and a concern. So is it necessarily something I don't like? It's a concern. So when someone, for example, says to me, wow, I woke up this morning and my house smelled fantastic. And I look at them and say, did you leave the candle burning all night long? Yeah. Oh, don't do that. So it's something that there has to be a healthy respect as the creator of the candle, and then providing the candle to the customer. That customer also has to treat that candle with a healthy respect.
I like that. Well, it's you're showing your concern for others and taking care of that product and making sure that the product doesn't go unnoticed.
Right.
Because there is such thing. Yes, you could burn down your house if you weren't careful.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Please don't do that. Well, and you know what? That's understandable. Because and I also think that shows a sense that you care. It's not just about the sale for you. It's
Correct.
about you're showing a sense of care and empathy towards the customer. That maybe some people wouldn't. Or it's just maybe something that they don't even think about. It's just a transactional process for them.
Right.
So my next challenge for you.
I feel like I'm on Survivor.
Are you familiar with? Do you listen to blues music at all?
Can't say that I do, no.
Okay. So there is a blues guitarist, a blues artist by the name of Robert Johnson, and he was considered one of the greatest blues guitarists of all time. And because of his music and his playing, he inspired a whole generation, even to this day, of blues guitarists and artists, including one that we both might be familiar with is Eric Clapton.
Sure.
So there was a song that actually Cream, one of the wonderful bands that Clapton was in, cover of his was called Crossroads. And the myth goes is that when Robert was walking through the Mississippi Delta, because how you performed back then was you either went to juke joints or you performed on the streets or you performed on porches, and you just did your thing, had a jar out for tips, and that was that. That was how you made your living. So the story goes is that up to that point, before he had reached that crossroads, he was okay. He wasn't great. He could play, but he wasn't anything to write home about. And in fact, some people didn't even care for his playing. Well, he goes down this crossroads, and he happens to stumble upon this individual that helped him tune his guitar. And in turn, all of a sudden, he got the skill set of being, all of a sudden, just like that, being one of the best guitarists ever. Mm-hmm. But turns out that individual happened to be the devil himself.
Oh, jeez.
So the trade-off was he became one of the best guitarists in the world. However, he ultimately died at a young age because one of his drinks got spiked, and he met an untimely fate.
Yikes.
So my question to you is, look at your face.
Oh no.
You're walking down the road and you come up to a crossroads and you happen to meet the devil himself, and the devil says to you, Janet, I'm going to make you an offer that it would be foolish to refuse. I could make you one of the highest grossing candle makers and sellers in the entire world. Your products would be featured in celebrities' houses. You would be world renowned. People would be begging to have orders come from you. But all I ask in return is for your soul, and maybe not even meet Robert's untimely death, but as we all know, the devil comes to collect his pay in some way, shape, or form. So even though it might not be through you, it could be with family or loved ones or friends that could meet a certain outcome and fate. But you would have one of the, if not the biggest candle business and company in the entire world. What do? Do you take that offer or do you walk away?
Deuces, devil, I'm out.
Oh, wow!
No, I'm not here to be the biggest, the best, the most world-renowned. No. I'm here to be a good wife to my husband, Brian, make candles, make people happy, be a good sister to my siblings, be a good community member. I don't need to seek recognition or attention. I'm good.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. She says no. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
I like playing that with people. And it's just fun, the reaction.
And has anyone said, sure, I'll take that deal?
So far, no.
Okay, good.
So far, no. Nobody has.
Peace and humanity reigns. Good.
But one person did say to me, who this is the first person I asked this question to a few weeks ago. We had a follow-up through text, and they said, some people might say no, but when you're in that moment, mm-hmm. you never really know.
Sure.
And I said, you're right. I'm like, some people, even though they might say no, in theory, mm-hmm. when it actually happens, and you see what could be, mm-hmm. you never know.
And it's very situational. And maybe he caught somebody on a bad day, and they're willing to take that, just like anything else in life. When we're out and about, you never know what someone else is going through.
Correct. And even to that, even to bring it back to even like Eric Clapton, so he's considered one of the best guitarists. However, he suffered his own personal tragedies mm-hmm. and losses. Probably the biggest one is he lost his son in a freak accident in their apartment building. And some people think the whatever you want to call them, say, well, maybe he did. Maybe he did make a deal. And then also too, he was supposed to get on a helicopter leaving Alpine Valley, Wisconsin, after playing a huge show with B.B. King, Robert Cray, Buddy Guy, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and his brother Jimmy Vaughan. And at the very last minute, Clapton thought, I think I'm going to wait for the next one. Yeah. And Stevie was the one that got on that helicopter. And so
very sad.
Very sad indeed. But thank you for playing.
Sure.
So now we're gonna get into a lighter.
Okay.
We're done with the whole downer stuff for the time. But the reason why we do that though is because I like finding about the highs and the lows with people, because I feel like that makes it a much more human experience and makes everyone much more relatable.
Yep.
So with that being said, we are going to go into our live stream.
Okay.
And all right, what's going on, everybody? I am Walter Hooper, and this is another episode of Marketing Minds Meet. I am here today with a fellow Grosse Pointe business owner, entrepreneur, with Jamcat Candles, and I am here today with Janet Abdenour Dabney. There she is.
Hello.
And Janet, why don't you just go ahead and tell everyone just a little bit about yourself and Jamcat and your story.
Okay. Well, I started Jamcat Candles back in 2018. It was a desire to have a creative outlet, provide people with something that they could enjoy that gives a spark to their home decor. So that's where Jamcat Candles came from. And they're soy candles that I prefer, when I purchase candles in the past, to have something that I could put into my home decor. So something that you might not even realize it's a candle, but something that you can look at, that you can see a beautiful flame, and just something that you can then appreciate even after the wax is exhausted. So the vessels that I choose, I like to think of what else can someone use this vessel for once the candle is no longer a candle. So whether they put makeup brushes or loose change or cotton balls, at least you will have something from your initial investment that was no longer a candle.
Awesome. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it. So I'm going to ask you now a fun question. We all like fun. So when you are not making candles and running Jamcat like the boss that you are, what are some of your favorite hobbies and activities that you enjoy doing in your spare time?
Well, I think that's pretty seasonal. So if we start at the beginning of the year, in the winter, I like to stay warm. In the spring and the summer, I love to be outside with my gardening and taking a walk and seeing things bloom. The fall is a big time for me because that's generally when candles start revving up, but it's also football season. So I am a season ticket holder for the Detroit Lions and the University of Michigan Wolverine. So you will find me any given Saturday or Sunday, either at the big house at Ford Field or in front of my TV if it's an away game. And I tease my husband, Brian. I say, this is really why you married me, right? For my season tickets. So yes, that's a big thing for me, is going to football games, especially in the fall. And I like all sports, really. So Tigers games in the summer, hockey games in the winter. So yeah, it's a fun time when our teams are on a roll and they're having, great success. So I think it makes a difference with our wonderful city as well when our city sports teams are doing well. There's just a fun camaraderie that you have when you're at the games and the teams are doing well.
What is your outlook for I'll start with the Wolverine season. What do you think is going to happen this upcoming season for us this year?
As anyone who knows me well, they know I'm very superstitious. So I will knock on a lot of wood here. I don't even want to give a prediction because I'm afraid I'm going to jinx things. But if we can have a similar season to what we had last year with a little bit of a better outcome, I'll be ecstatic.
Okay. So you can see us going into the playoffs again.
Didn't say that. Not jinxing anything, but yeah, if we could have that same type of a roll that we were on, let's pick up, not necessarily where we last left off at the very end of that last game, but if we could pick up and keep that momentum going, it could be a very fun season.
Okay, then I have to know. What's your prediction for the Lions?
Again, they were on a roll at the end of the season. I mean, that last game when we beat Green Bay, that was very exciting. Didn't mean anything really because we didn't make it into the playoffs. However, it was a huge boost. So hopefully we can just continue on from there and get into the playoffs.
Oh, I love that enthusiasm. That can be a dangerous thing when it comes to the Lions.
I know, but you have to hope and dream. Like we do every season.
Let's see, hope. In the words of Morgan Freeman in The Shawshank Redemption, hope can be a dangerous thing.
I know.
And how many times have we been let down by this team?
Well, we can't have nice things. Why can't we have nice things?
Well, yeah. I think I mentioned this to you earlier, but yeah, us Lions, like, for the record, I like the Lions. I want them to win. But I look at myself and other fans as we're feral animals. We've gone through so much hurt and pain and abuse.
I know.
What do you expect us to do? When if things start to go, then I already my brain goes, oh, what's going to happen? How are they going to screw this up?
And the thing is, it's like, it's not necessarily we create new ways to lose every season. It's just we lose games in just the craziest manner. Whether then, the year after that, now there's a new rule based on how we lost a game because there wasn't a correct call or there was something else that should have been instituted into that particular play or what have you. So it's always something crazy that happens, and then it happens to the Lions if it's going to happen to any team.
Yeah, it's the struggle is real, people.
It is.
If you've never been here in Detroit or just watched the Lions in general, like you won't understand our pain and our frustration. So moving right along to a much happier topic. How can people reach out to you for questions or wanting to place orders for your products and your candles? Do you have I think you mentioned you got Instagram. Is there a website, phone number, email? And what is the contact info? Now is the time to plug all of that.
Well, my website is jamcatcandles.com, so it's JAMCAT candles.com. My Instagram is at jamcatcandles. If you would like to reach me via email, you can do that at info@jamcatcandles.com. And then for any store owners, boutique owners, I do have a site on a wholesale platform called Faire, F-A-I-R-E. And my link or my site can be found at faire.com/direct/jamcatcandles.
Awesome. Well, I gotta say, this was I really enjoyed this.
As did I. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the challenges too. Yeah, stay tuned for that. That's going to be on the full episode. But Janet, this has been a pleasure, and I'm glad we got to connect more.
Me too.
Because being part of our first organization, and then really starting to connect through the Grosse Pointe Chamber of Commerce, and now here we are. So, I'd love to have you back on the program.
Sure.
Maybe around holiday season, you can give a plug for your products and all that. And this has been another episode of Marketing Minds Meet, and we'll see you next time.